remarked on Monday that sometimes the sheer talent of a player screams so loudly you kind of can't ignore him when he's sitting there. Is that kind of the case?
Yeah, I mean, and also, we're looking to add more playmakers to the offense, and they come in all shapes and sizes and all different positions. And, we love Michael Mayer. I love Michael Mayer, and he's a really good player. He's going to take another big jump this year, but he get a chance to add just another dimension to the offense, whether it's a tight end, a hybrid receiver, whatever it is. We need more playmakers on that side of the ball, so I think he's really helped us there. And like he's a high-level player in college, true junior. He's 21 years old, so he's very young, still developing. But he's got some natural football skills combined with some high-level athletic ability and speed. So really happy to have him.
Tom, how much did you like that he can go vertical with the great hands and speed, but at the point of attack, he loves to smash people and block?
He's tough, and when you play at Georgia as a tight end, you have to be able to block. And then in the SEC, he's plenty of some real defenders. So, but he's an athletic move receiving tight end, but he can get down and block a little bit on the line of scrimmage. So, which you're gonna have to do at this level too. So, this kind of shows you what his game's like.
How surprised were you that he was sliding down the draft board, and was that part of your prep and your scenarios you had gone through?
Yeah, I went through a lot of that prep and scenarios, and just the way it worked out. We kind of figured there could be a lot of quarterbacks going early too, just by looking at the knees and who was there, and figured somebody may come down that maybe usually wouldn't. Didn't know who it would be, but the fact that it was somebody that could really make some plays on the offensive side of the ball was helpful.
How hard did you try to move up to get a quarterback?
Not particularly hard. Not particularly hard.
Okay.
We looked into it, like I said in the pre-draft press conference. We kind of had a plan to maybe move up if the opportunity was there. Wasn't there, and kept moving.
Were you surprised how many quarterbacks got taken in one?
Not. I mean, when you look at it, with the teams and where their needs were, not totally surprised. Yeah.
Tom, for you, there's still a bunch of very high-quality players on that board that a lot of people have high grades on. So for you, does it make going in knowing how you set your draft board up? Do you sleep good tonight, or do you go back up? Do you have a lot of work to do? How do you handle this?
You kind of see what's left and available, and then you just kind of start working through it. But you still got to come up with some sort of plan for the second round. And we kind of have on the board already, but I want to get together tomorrow with AP and Champ and JoJo and Brandon. You're going to really kind of discuss what our plan of attack will be. But you're right. There's always, when you come out of the first round, you see some players you thought would go in the first that didn't. Which is why tomorrow there may be a run to try and people trade up to get a couple of those guys. But we'll kind of get a plan together and kind of go from there.
Brock had said that he was shocked that the Raiders made him pick. How much contact did you guys have with him in the draft process?
The normal amount of contact. That's kind of the way we don't really like to put up billboards of who we're going to be, possibly interested in. But we did a lot of work on Brock. Our scouts have seen him for. Obviously, as freshman, you're not eligible, but he jumped out as a freshman right away. A good amount of work through the fall, through the pre-draft process, all the way through, just like everybody else. You do all the work on all these guys because you never know who you're going to be taking in reality. Now we do cut our board down pretty significantly, so we do a lot of work, probably on a smaller group of players. But you have to be prepared for every scenario. So that worked out.
I know you said you guys love Michael Mayer and he's still a part of the plans. Is there any concern about his injury?
No concerns at all with that.
Yeah. Brock mentioned he was shocked. Were you shocked that he was there at 13?
No, not shocked. I mean, you kind of look at where the top 15 picks are, and someone may be coming down. So the draft's unpredictable. It just is. So we do this for a living, and we can't really 100% dictate who's going to be there. But you have the plans together. I know as a player, you're trying to figure out where they're going to go, where they're going to spend the next 4 or 5, hopefully 10 years of their lives, what city they're going to go to, and typically our scouts do such a great job in the fall process, and then in the winter during the All-Star season, and then even in the spring. We never feel like we have to all of a sudden last second do all this extra work on a guy. Like our guys do a great amount of work leading up to it, so we're very prepared.
Tom, you told us that story about the Keenan Allen draft and kind of how that played out, and kind of drove home that point about taking the best player available. You know, pretty much everybody says that going into the draft. What does it take to actually sort of stick to that philosophy when you're on the clock and you have to make a decision?
You know, every situation is a little bit different, but, you know, you try and stick to that when you can. Sometimes it's like, it's harder than you think sometimes, because, you know, you're adding to the football team, and we know where we are today, but we are looking for today and in the future. But the player like Brock, just where the scouting staff, where they had him, what they thought about him, what the coaching staff thought, you know, he was really pretty a consensus guy. Makes it a little bit easier, you know, fully knowing that, you know, we have Michael Mayer, who's an excellent tight end, but, you know, there's no rule in the NFL that you can only play one. We can play two tight ends, we can move people around. At Notre Dame, Michael was split out sometimes as a receiver. Brock has been split out as a receiver. Brock's even played some running backs and end arounds. So, and then our receivers can go inside and outside, so, be a nice little group to work with.
I think both of them played, both at Georgia and Notre Dame, with multiple tight end sets, sometimes 13 personnel at both schools. Does that help a little bit, knowing that they know how to kind of find their way?
I think so. You know, there's different ways to attack people week to week, and, you know, the more options we have available in the tight end room and receiver room, the better.
Earlier this week, you talked about how not only were you trying to draft a player, you know, on the field, but someone to represent Las Vegas. Just from the work that you've done and your scouts have done, what do you think about Brock Bowers' demeanor and just his character so far?
Yeah, it's excellent. I think when he gets here tomorrow, when you guys talk to him, you get a really good feel. If you haven't spent any time with him, or if you guys didn't talk to him at the combine, he's a pretty special kid. So I think he's going to fit in great in Las Vegas.
You mentioned that he's special. I mean, obviously we've seen what his body of work. Maybe with your scouts and your coaches, did anybody ever say anything to you that they could really pinpoint what makes him so special?
It's usually what you do off the field. So it's the preparation, the work ethic, the weight room, the meeting rooms. I think I mentioned it last week. There's just so much that goes into being a really high-level professional football player that involves more than just talent. And a lot of that, you know, what you do in the weight room, on the field with conditioning. You know, this is a tough league, and it's really talented. And no matter how talented you are, you got to find what that other edge is to get over the top. And you know, certainly with guys like that, you know, we're looking for that. In every round, you're looking for that. But as you talk to them, I think you'll get a feel for anybody. I'm sure you guys will reach out to Georgia and whoever else, and I think you're going to hear the same thing about his work ethic, his character, and his you know, football intelligence.
Tom, I'm sure at your previous stop, you'd probably done a little bit of work at least for this upcoming draft. When you got hired here, how did that process play out when it came to, you know, if you had any discrepancies between your big board versus the staff and what they did here? Like, how did you kind of blend those things together?
Yeah, it was kind of cool, you know, because I kind of had, you know, I already had my thoughts, and I also had, you know, a lot of what the last team I was with, at least up until December, mid-December, kind of what those guys thought, and then I got here and I got another perspective from another group of scouts. So I thought it was really cool to kind of blend that all together. It's all very subjective. There's no official listing by position or even overall. So it's more art than science, but it's kind of fun putting the whole process together. You know, using two sets of information essentially.
Besides Bowers, your choice of any defensive player in the country, were you surprised by that? And that kind of gave you any pause as far as going with Bowers?
As opposed to?
Oh, the best defensive player.
I can't really remember a draft that's played out like that. Have they said that at all? I mean, I can't remember that many offensive players going at one time. No, I don't know. It just, you know, kind of zeroed in on Brock right there. But yeah, I would say that's got to be an anomaly to have the first defensive player go. Where did he go? 13, 14, 15. What was it? 15. Yeah. Yeah, that's. But you know, when that many quarterbacks go early, which doesn't happen that often, someone's going to get pushed down. So.
You've done a lot of these, but this was your first as a Raider. Now that it's over, the first round, can you just tell us, how did you enjoy it? Were you able to enjoy it? Were you nervous? How did you feel?
The best part was George Atkinson was sitting right across from me, and he was telling some great stories when he came out of college and about the process, the draft process when he went through it. That was probably the best part of today. So it was good. It was fun. It's yeah, there's a lot of anxiety going in. You don't know how it's going to break, but if you prepare well enough, we got good people in there. It's not like I'm sitting there by myself. I got a big staff of people to bounce ideas off of. All the scouts were in there, but it was kind of cool having George in there. Which, yeah, I had to have some true Raiders in there. Get some Raider history in that draft room.
What's Antonio's thoughts, just his excitement to coach just such a young, talented guy?
Well, I know he's excited about it, but I don't wanna speak for him, so I'll let him kinda talk about it when he gets up here eventually. Yeah, he's a defensive guy, obviously, but now he's the head coach. He does see it with a wide lens. So, offense, defense, whatever, he thinks could best help the team. But yeah, he was 100% on board with Vic. I'll let him explain it in his own way when he gets up here.
So, who made the call to Brock and how did that go?
Well, I talked to him and then AP talked to him, and typically those calls are pretty short. I mean, the kid's just, he's celebrating, and usually they have no idea who I am. They may know who the head coach is, but they hear Raiders, and then after that, it's just a lot of yelling in the background. So, and like you said, like he was probably, surprised, thinking, we were one of the teams that were interested. But yeah, I mean, it's a special moment for those kids and their families.
I know the wheels are probably already spinning for tomorrow, but as you see the first round play out, do you feel like it sets up some opportunities for you guys on day 2 to?
It should, yeah. I mean, I looked at it really quick. I'll look a little bit tonight, and then until everyone kind of let it marinate tonight, we'll talk again tomorrow morning. But it should play out. I do a little more work tonight, but as we kind of went through the first round in our process, we'll look at rounds 2 and 3. Like if we do this position, how it could affect others, and I think we should be in good shape.
Were there any discussions about moving back into the first round, late in the first round?
Yes, but nothing that really, nothing that we ran with, obviously.
You guys good? Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Appreciate it.